Hello there, I'm Sam Maculin and I'm an artist and comic maker living in the northern English countryside, sometimes dreary, sometimes less so. This time we go on a nature adventure where I get the chance to draw a deer from life, only for it to not go quite how you might imagine. Trying to draw the deer quickly and I was struggling. But we go back to my tiny art room, do some sketchbooking and get comfy for a piece of writing that I did inspired by my deer encounters. So if you're a fan of relaxing drawing videos, insights into the life of a slightly chaotic artist, and random chats about Doctor Who, then stick around, because you're most definitely in the right place. Hello everyone and welcome back to my little art room. This time, yep, some naturey adventures, a bit of writing I'm gonna chat about and read to you, I think. I'm about to try and do some sketchbooking on the deer that I saw, which I'm gonna show you in a minute. But yeah, a bit of a random one because we had a really big heat wave in the UK, and I was doing okay with it, but then I kept being like, when is this gonna hit me? This is gonna hit me at some point. I'm gonna get really tired. And then it did hit me at a very inconvenient time. I'd gone with my friend to Hebden Bridge and we were 5 minutes into the trip and I just really needed to go home. I got into this state where I just couldn't be around people. I almost end up feeling like I'm on the run from the law. That's the kind of feeling that I get, where it's like I literally can't be near people, like I'm looking at them like they're out to get me or something. And I was just so tired, and when I got home, like I had something to eat, but I was so tired and forgetful. I was like, I went to put a loaf of bread in the dishwasher. It was that kind of thing. So thankfully, yes, I had to recover basically for the rest of the week and the weekend, have a lot of rest and sleep. But I'm feeling quite a bit better. I still feel a bit tired, but I'm just trying to like not overthink it, just maybe do some sketchbooking because I'm trying to make some more new stock for my shop and I always get really carried away. I'm going to make yet another massive zine, I'm going to make this massive project, you know, well you may not know what I'm like if you've never watched this before, but I am like that. I always overthink and overdo, and I'm really just trying to make some more stock for my shop so that I can just get some more stuff on there and make some pennies while I work on a bigger project, which is my continual comic, Toast in the Machine, which I spoke about in my last video, and I spoke about basically restarting that. So I want to give myself time and space to do that, so yeah. But anyway, let's get to the naturey bits first. There's just something quite funny about, you know, getting the opportunity to literally draw a deer in the wild from life and messing it up badly, which is what I did. Like, the pressure was too much and it was really hot, and, you know, this was what we were dealing with. So you can see this is one of my first attempts at the deer when I was in real life. Trying to draw the deer quickly, and I was struggling. This was the stone that I like to draw and the plants. I was actually quite confidently calling this hogweed until I was like looking at the leaves, and when I looked up common hogweed, the leaves didn't look right. The hogweed leaves are a bit bigger, a bit fluffier, and these are very like, I don't know what the word would be, but they're more almost like fern-like they're more jagged and small. So this is not actually right, hogweed surrounds is not correct. I did write snails resting on the stone, hogweed surrounds, it's not hogweed. Weather very hot even at 8 AM. And yeah, I just like this stone. It's always a really peaceful part of the walk, and as you can see, I'm drawing a few snails here as well. But yeah, I did consult this book, Herbs and Healing Plants. It's quite cool because it's like colour-coded, but I was still struggling to find the exact right thing. I think maybe because it's not a herb technically. Like these here felt close, but they still didn't feel quite right. So anyway, I looked it up further and I realised it was cow parsley. I think it's called cow parsley. It's very, very common in the UK along all the edges of woodlands and things like that. So yeah, I'm pretty certain that's what it is. So that was a fun little discovery. I attempted to draw a tree, but I was really tired. And actually, I find landscape drawing and outside drawing, that's why it's a good challenge for me, but I actually do find it hard because I get very quickly overwhelmed by the details. And so I literally just did the most basic things. Attempting the shapes of a complex tree, too hot. Tired. Yeah, that's what I wrote. This one as well. Very tough to capture a lot of detail with your mum waiting is what I wrote on this one. This was like me trying to get the moss and stuff, but it's just so much detail and so little time. I'm not very good at like that reduction thing. I think I still need to work on that. These were more like quite hilarious attempts at the deer. Attempted to draw a deer right in front of me. Pressure too much, number 2. And then I did another deer kept moving. I actually found this drawing a bit charming, like I quite liked the movement of it. But yeah, obviously not quite what I was aiming for. Yeah, you know, with the best will in the world, you think, oh yeah, this is going to be those magical moments, those magical artist moments where I just draw the most amazing drawing I've ever drawn because there's a deer right in front of me and I'm gonna do it justice, but you just don't, because it's really hot and you didn't bring a drink, which is not like me because I'm really, really prepared. In fact, I recently resorted out my first aid kit and I was honestly so tempted to do a whole thing in this video about my first aid kit, but I think I want to do like a separate video about like art adventures. That'd be fun. Because I haven't really gone on like a proper art adventure yet because I've mostly just been like on short walks where I'm with people. The thing is, when I'm with people, even when people go, you can film, you can draw, you can film, the reality is when they're actually there, and I say this in full kindness, people do not actually have the patience. They don't want to do it. And I kind of get that because if you're going on a nice nature walk, you don't necessarily want someone stopping every 2 seconds to film things or to do whatever, you know. And like make like I can make a 20-minute walk last like 2 hours because I'm messing about so much and drawing and stuff. So it's not for everyone, and that's fair enough. But yeah, I need to actually go out on artist adventures myself because I need the space to like be on my own when I do that, really. So I think when I do that, I'll do like a little bag, you know, what's in my bag kind of thing, but for art adventures, because I think that'd be a fun way to do it. But anyway, yeah, we're gonna do some sketchbooking. I'm gonna do some sketchbooking now. This is my new sketchbook. This is A4. I love a big sketchbook. When I first started drawing though, I used to draw, you know, don't overwhelm yourself if you're new to drawing. This isn't always the best idea to get a massive sketchbook. But I really like the art creation sketchbooks. Actually quite hard to find. They used to have them in a local shop near where I lived and then they stopped selling them, really. And I just like the paper in this. They're not hugely expensive. They're one of the like cheaper sketchbook options, but I really like them. And yeah, what else? I'm gonna watch Doctor Who, because the other day me and my friends were talking about The Girl in the Fireplace and I was like, I'm gonna watch that episode. But I actually wrote down a load of my favourite episodes. I usually, if I rewatch anything, this is true, but I've done this with Doctor Who where I have to watch it from the very beginning to the very end. Although I don't like the recent series, I have to admit, it just lost me with the writing. And I really, really gave it a go. I gave everything to the end of Jodie Whittaker's series. I've watched every episode, but I was holding on for dear life and I just couldn't really go beyond that. I actually really like Matt Smith's era though. What was funny is when I got to Matt Smith's section when I was writing down my favourite ones, I actually found it hard to like pick individual ones because I like the overall story of Matt Smith's. There's a lot more like of an overall plot in his series, I feel. Whereas, for example, like series 4 David Tennant, the one that has like Midnight in it and stuff like that. Midnight's one of my absolute favourites, and a few of the others around that. I also really like Family of Blood, that 2-parter. I can't think of any of the rest of them off the top of my head, but I like that series a lot. I really love the Donna and David Tennant series, and I like Martha as well. So those episodes that are in those series, as well as the companions themselves. So yeah, and I really like River Song. A lot of people don't like River Song, but I'm quite a fan. In fact, one of the only favourite Peter Capaldi ones is The Husbands of River Song, is that what it's called? I really like that. It's a Christmassy episode, and I find that episode really good. Anyway, I'm gonna sketchbook now. So I was just stopping my sketchbooking for the day, but I watched Girl in the Fireplace and then I watched Blink, and it's funny really because they're both kind of sad in the way that time parts people. I never realised that before, like watching them kind of one after the other. I kind of wish they'd never done any more Weeping Angel episodes because I really like the simplicity of just that. Well, not even simplicity, it's such a good episode, but I'm saying like I liked that episode in and of itself, and I feel like as it goes on the angels don't feel as like mysterious and scary as they did in that episode. I feel like they kind of lose something as it goes on. But one of my favourite bits that I think is really clever is when like she goes to meet the policeman in the hospital and he's like, oh, it was raining the day we met, and she says it's the same rain. I always think it's just a really clever like line, and just generally it's really clever that like through the whole time travel thing, like they literally meet at one age and then she sees him again in the space of literally like the same rainfall. I think it's just really interesting. I'm trying not to say it too specifically in case you happen to never have watched it and you don't want it to be totally ruined, because it's a really, really good episode where you like, yeah, watching it for the first time must be so cool because I like still find it exciting watching it for like the 15th time. I don't know. Yeah, absolutely one of my favourite episodes. I love it. Just so clever. Yeah. So I just wanted to add, I guess I'm getting a bit of a Doctor Who, you know, moment today. I did also cut my hair this week. People who have watched before will know that my hair's usually a lot longer. Yes, and welcome to the 70s. This is just a tiny interlude to show you some of the clips of me cutting my hair. I always cut my own hair, I have done for years. I cut it in a 70s shag hairstyle cut that I saw a tutorial for on TikTok ages ago. It's easier on longer hair. I actually did part of it wrong and had to do it again. But yeah, you can basically create a shape and then cut every layer to that shape. It takes me ages because my hair's so thick and it looks ridiculous as you go through. You've got to trust the process. I haven't actually cut it short, especially this short, for about 3 years. But it needs it every now and then. It gets really, really dry, really, really annoying, and it's very thick, so it can be hard to take care of, and I'm quite a low maintenance person, so I don't really like having to do loads of things about things, so I mainly just cut it when it really needs it. So anyway, the heat wave hit and my hair was really, really bothering me, and basically I just was like, I am quite spontaneous about my hair because I cut it myself, and I just kind of, when I get it in my mind that I want to cut it, it's like obsesses me. I can't like deal with it. My fringe is shorter than I like it to be, but I'd actually already cut the fringe short, So I kind of like already was dealing with that. But yeah, I do like the fringe to be longer, and so I think I will like the haircut more when that happens. But yeah, it was a big relief, and I just like having it short every now and then, and having it short for summer is always really nice. My mum was annoyed, not really seriously, but I got in trouble because she doesn't like it when I cut my hair. Even at 29, everyone, you get in trouble for cutting your hair. So when I was out on the walk and I came back, like, I was thinking about how that was like the third time I'd had like quite a important feeling sort of deer encounter. And obviously 3 is quite a nice round number, and I decided to like write about it. I've been really liking writing more sometimes. I still feel like I don't have like a voice in writing yet, but like obviously that comes with a lot of practice and time, and that's what's nice about, you know, just experimenting with things. But I'm gonna read it to you while I show the drawing clips. So I hope you enjoy it. It's just a reflection on my real life, so this is real life. And also just to say, it does sort of allude to some sensitive topics like mental health and suicide, but it doesn't really directly talk about the latter. But yeah, just in case anyone's really not in the mood for that kind of thing right now. So here we go, I hope you enjoy it. There's a walk near my house that I've done 1,000 times. Last year when I went through a long period of physical ill health, I traipsed up and down it over and over, the steady trudge of my feet settling the dizziness that wouldn't fully let me go, the heaviness in my chest slowly loosening on the inclines, resting on the stone memorial bench of a teenager that appeared a couple years back. It's not unusual to see deer on this path. In fact, the most common area to see them is even entitled Deer Play, just off the edge of a housing estate that's always as quiet as the grave. Well, at least when school's not out. They gather in the trees there, hard to spot amongst the undergrowth. One day in the midst of my illness I'd gathered the strength to go out alone, in dire need of open air. I had hoped to see the deer, but being in a state of body and mind that felt the smallest disappointment might be too much to bear, I prepared myself to not see them, told myself I wouldn't, and that was fine. But as I turned to their regular haunt and saw they were not there, I couldn't help that sting of disappointment regardless. Then, all of a sudden, there was movement much closer to me, right up ahead on the very edge of the trees, and with a clatter a deer jumped down onto the road in front of me. The deer looked at me and I looked at the deer. I stayed very still. I prayed internally that the Range Rovers I usually have to dodge out of the way of on this route would not come charging down the road. Not now. Not for a minute. Not while it's still and quiet, and it's just me and the deer, sizing each other up, waiting. The deer seemed to register I was not a threat, and went on its way across the road and into the trees. I watched it go, clutching my backpack and trying not to cry. It was the first time in a while that I felt reminded and comforted by life outside of myself, of good parts of the world that were still here and I could still be a part of. It felt as if some part of the crushing weight of things lifted a little, opened up a little. Months later, I was with my mum on the same walk. Spring was at its height. It was the most spring-feeling day I'd ever experienced. Everywhere you looked was green, 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 plants growing thickly like nothing could stop them from carpeting the entire country. As we walked the same path again, no deer on Deer Play. We carried on up the hill and looked out over the fields. There was something in the distance, where horses usually grazed, so small we couldn't make it out yet. "Is that a stag?" I asked my mum. "No, it can't be," I said. "It's so still, is it even real?" I was wondering if it was some odd statue. But then it moved. It had spotted us from afar and had been staring at us, but now it was more relaxed. We got closer up the hill and there it was, undoubtedly a stag. Never in all my life had I seen a stag here, and there it was right out in the open. I had joked to my mum earlier that I always saw the best stuff when I didn't have either of my video cameras, and here it happened again, like fate smiling down and reminding you, to simply look and see sometimes. I still took a terribly grainy shot on my phone. It captured nothing of what it was really like, but it spoke to that odd desire to prove we'd seen it somehow. No one seems to just believe a good story anymore. The stag hopped and ran off across the hillside, like something out of a film where they're trying to portray the picturesque magical countryside, but you roll your eyes that it's fake and unrealistic. That entire walk was like that. The bluest sky and the lambs in the fields, the way my favourite trees looked in the light and that green, like the plants were enveloping you, reaching out, ready to soften your every fall. It was the tail end of my illness, a tentative relief. I was ready to carefully embrace whatever came next. In late May, a heatwave hit the UK. The light through my blackout blind windows was like I was being visited by Jesus himself from 6 a.m. onwards. My mum is an early riser regardless of the weather, so I started to join her in getting up early, and we went for walks at 7 a.m. to avoid the heat of the day. One day I took my camera and sketchbook to do some drawing. We walked in a different direction to usual and down a part of the walk we often leave out, as I wanted to draw a particular stone down there, where there are always nice white flowers, I confidently called common hogweed, until I noticed the leaves weren't right and discovered it was cow parsley. And there out in the open field was a deer. We made sure not to startle it, staying very still and ducking behind the trees. It stayed there for a good while. This struck me as a little unusual, but the deer was clearly moving and walking, so didn't look injured, and the deer are used to people in this walk, as it's so frequented. It stayed there for so long that as I went to draw the stone we came across a woman we knew from my mum's church, and my mum told her about it in soft, reverent tones, which is impressive for her, as she doesn't possess an inside voice. The deer was still there all the while. We even came back later to see it was gone, but only for another one to come stepping into the field a moment later. I'm not sure if this was the same deer or not. Either way, I hid behind the branches of a tree with white flowers and attempted to draw the deer. Despite it being only 8 a.m, it was getting hot now. I'd already asked my mum to cut the walk short, as unlike my usual prepared self, I had brought no water and already felt I couldn't go on without a drink. I tried a few wobbly drawings. When do you ever get the chance to draw a deer in the wild from life? But I was tired. The deer was quite far away and moved a lot. I was cracking under the pressure, and all the while the sun was looking over my shoulder, burning my back and laughing at my pathetic attempts. It was only when I reviewed the camcorder footage a few days later that I noticed that the first deer had stayed so long because of a fawn, way too well obscured and small for us to see with our own eyes at the time. Only its head ducking out and around the deer's legs, the flash of its fluffy ears, hidden and protected in the long grasses. I couldn't help but think of my mum. My mum only works mornings, so over the years that I've lived back at home, we've sometimes spent a considerable amount of time together. Between my many years of mental health issues, finding out I was autistic, and then dealing with the harder aspects of that, and then my physical illness that also dragged me to some very dark places for the best part of 7 months. Yes, it's been a hard time for me, but it's also been a very hard time for people like my mum. When I was a kid, my mum did a very good job at protecting me in the long grasses. She gave me routine and structure, well before she knew how beneficial this was for me. She would bite back at any teacher complaining of my shy nature. She wouldn't force or pressure or ask me to be anything else. She protected and defended. But eventually you're 29, and you're in that strange state where you don't want to be hiding at the backs of knees anymore. You want to be your own person, trust yourself, be relied upon, and yet time and time again you've been kicked back into the long grasses. So many times you start to wonder if you can actually get out of them again, or if you even want to. How hard a thing it must be to be the deer standing by and watching all of that. Someone said to me when I posted about the stag, to show my silly proof, that it was like a moment where if you'd followed the stag, it would have given you special powers. And it's funny because I'd had that similar otherworldly feeling. For me, I'd imagined that it would look back and wait, and when I followed, it would somehow lead me to another place, a distant world, somehow easier than this one, where everything is a little strange, and I don't have to feel that creeping sense of being at odds with everything. There were many times over the past number of years I would have followed a mystical deer anywhere, even with my weak muscles and shortness of breath. Anything to escape how relentlessly trapping my good life felt. Trying to explain to someone how this feeling comes about, despite all the decent things, is impossible, and exhausting, and usually leads to them judging you, because it makes no sense to them. It never can, and it never will. My therapist told me it was best for me to let go of this frustration that people don't understand me, because they physically can't. When I announced I was really attempting to do this, he sighed and said, "But it's hard, Sam." And it is hard. I think that's why I find nature so comforting. Nature is indifferent. The deer on the road notices me, sees me, observes me, but is nothing more than another life in its environment, weighing up my level of threat. It does not judge, perceive, know anything of me, and does not ask anything of me. On that road nothing mattered. Not my £53 business profits, the frustrating call with the doctor who kept talking over me, my dad's anxiety over my future, or what I was going to rally myself to make for yet another tea that night. Probably the same tofu, frozen veg and mystery carbohydrate I rustled up most evenings. The deer looks at me head on, and I see none of that odd look you get sometimes that people think we don't notice. I can't say the wrong thing. I can't care too much or not enough. What deer, or bird or tree, cares for social convention? I don't need to be understood, and yet I am. The deer understands. That's why it's such a relief. That's why my eyes sting. I meant nothing to that deer, and yet it made me feel I existed again, like the space I take up felt a little more solid. I'm forgotten by the next field, but I'm still thankful that 3 times the deer and the stag gave me that. These days I continue to dust myself off and emerge from the long grasses, grateful my parents are there when I look back, my mum cheering me on and resisting the urge to hide me. If the mystical stag were to offer a path to another world now, I don't think I would take it. There's more I want to do, things I don't want to give up on, and good things I don't want to leave behind. And considering how many times I've stuck it out, I won't let it be done with me just yet, if I can help it. But perhaps the stag and that other world will wait for me, until I'm truly finished with this one. It's actually quite hard to get through that, I'm going to have to edit that a lot. Yeah, so I entitled that Wait For Me Dear, because I thought that was quite a nice play on words. Then as for the sketches that I did yesterday, that you'll have seen in this video, let's just look at them more closely. I started off just trying to get some negative space, some very basic shapes of the deer to just get myself in the mood to draw, and I did some left-handed drawings. These are all just little exercises I do to like help me ease into drawing and not overthink it. I did a bit of drawing of the tree that I was hidden in. I did this one that was a bit negative space, but I started to kind of lose the deer in the undergrowth, and then this was a more like proper effort with the deer. As I say, I really love these sketchbooks. However, it does make my pencil line a bit softer, which I really like, but is not always what I'm fully going for, which is why I switched for the other drawing to see what it would be like with the slightly grainier texture. But I actually really like both. I like the softer texture and I like the other texture. I still feel like it captures a lot of the pencil like vibrancy. These were some of my attempts at like me sitting in the long grasses, as I stated in my piece of writing. I did feel the need to write on the bottom because this is my brain. P.S. in real life this would be major tick danger. Because yeah, sitting like this in long grasses like this, it's a metaphor, okay? In real life you would need to be aware of ticks in this situation. That's my thought. Every time I'm walking about I'm like, that looks bad for ticks. But yeah, I didn't feel like I quite got what I wanted out of either of these. The expression, the face wasn't quite what I wanted, but it was fun to practice like the pose and how it would work, because I actually do need a lot of practice on stuff like that. Like sometimes I have this moment where I'm like, I can't even draw, I don't even know how to draw, and so it's good to sketchbook and just try things. This was just a little drawing from a picture of me stood drawing, that was from my footage. Yeah, I quite liked this one. It's not really the style that I would normally draw in, if you get what I mean, but it was quite a nice, I think a decent representation of the image. Then I was just playing around. I was getting a bit tired. I did this one to just play around with colour and the pencil, and then I was having a go with the little blending tools. Usually I don't like tools like this because I like the pencil texture. However, I got some recently just because I wanted to maybe play around with contrast, like, you know, maybe there's blurred areas and there's really strong pencil areas. However, when I got to my main one, I found that I actually really liked it as it was and I didn't want to blend it. But I didn't know whether, like, the idea of the grainy footage being literally blurred was kind of cool. So I was just playing around with it. I do actually quite like that. I think it's quite sweet. And that was that for the sketchbook. And then this was the final drawing that I did, playing around with the like comic style idea with some writing. The writing needs editing. I didn't like the first attempt and I want to move this over so it's central. I can't always picture stuff like that in my mind. I'm really bad at picturing like composition and how words will work. Obviously, like I say, this has a much more like sort of scruffy, grainy pencil texture, but I thought that kind of matched the idea for this bit because I kind of like highlighted, I went through my writing and I highlighted some areas of text that I thought were quite interesting even on their own. And I just felt that this idea of like drawing from my very grainy kind of difficult to see images was quite a fun idea. And to like deliberately not try and make it more detailed or try and find a better image to replace it, like I was gonna draw from the really basic grainy picture that didn't give me a lot of detail. And this was the result, and I quite like it actually. I think it says something of this theme and I just think it's fun. Now, I don't know, what do you guys think? Does this work as a print or is this something that would only work in a zine? I don't know. I kind of think it's quite nice even on its own. I feel like I just didn't want to always start massive projects every time I have like one idea, you know? Like it could always be developed into an idea later. But yeah, and then I decided to add like the sort of some of the like phone details. Initially I was actually going to draw it like deliberately as a whole phone, but I decided to just draw some of the details because I didn't want it to like really take over. But yeah, so then I decided to like add some of the phone details to like just add to the theme a little bit and to make it look a bit different and unique. I tried the blending in the sky here. I wasn't sure if I liked it, so I actually got rid of quite a bit of it and I think I'm going to tidy up so it's not there, and I decided to go with like the solid lines instead because I just thought the phone theme wouldn't quite work. But I like the idea of letting the grass like escape at the bottom side. Yeah, so I don't know, I think it kind of works. I like it. It's not often that I draw an image that doesn't have a person in it. So it was quite fun. And yeah, let me know what you think. I'm really interested. That's that, I suppose. I think I've said everything. And I worked really hard on this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm glad about the drawings that I did, and I'm thinking of maybe that drawing at the end, maybe trying some different colours with it, like changing the pencil to brown maybe in editing, like on my computer, or adding some colour, I don't know. Let me know what you think. As always, thank you so much for watching, all your support, all your patience, and I really hope I'll see you here again. Thanks so much. Goodbye.